Hello, and welcome back to the Spoiler Cast, the show where we talk about movies, and we spoil all of it, because, it's the Spoiler Cast. And if you're listening to this, you are one of a very select few who get to listen to this, because you're actually paying for it. You are one of our esteemed patrons over on patreon.com. So thank you so much for helping us keep the show going, and help us expand the show. Eventually.
Eventually.
But of course, you also know we do a free episode every Thursday on YouTube and on Spotify and iTunes and all that stuff. So check that one out as well if you don't. And be sure to tell your friends and family about this. If you think they'll enjoy the show, tell them about this Patreon stuff. Tell them that they can get 2 shows a week and a bunch of other stuff for just $3 a month. So last week, Thursday's episode, we talked about Godzilla vs. Kong and sort of about the whole MonsterVerse or whatever they're calling it.
Yeah, the modern MonsterVerse.
Yeah, and I don't think either of us were particularly
pleased.
Fond of it.
No.
I'm not really sure, because I remember I went into this blind rage like halfway through the episode, because I hate the new Godzilla movies. I hate them.
Yeah.
So I don't actually remember what you said. What did you think of them?
I mostly agreed. The only MonsterVerse movie worth watching is Skull Island.
Yeah, I agree.
There are plenty of other monster movies you can watch. Even the older Godzilla movies are way better.
Yeah, I'd rather just go with those. Yeah. We discussed the cultural barriers in trying to create a Western Godzilla, and that just doesn't work.
No,
at least not in our opinion or my opinion. I don't know. But yeah, we also said that we were going to watch and talk about the original Godzilla, the 1954 Gojira.
Yes.
So that's what we're talking about today.
Yeah.
And I am a huge fan of it. I've seen it many, many times. But you had never seen it, right?
I believe I've seen it maybe once, probably not all of it. But I did rewatch it today. Well, I tried. To be honest, it's kind of hard to keep up with it because, the quality's so-so and it's in Japanese and
so you can't do other stuff while you're listening. You have to actually watch the screen.
Yeah. So I had a hard time actually keeping up with what was happening. Specifically with like the subplot of the love triangle and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like the monster stuff, sure, I think I got it, but everything else is kind of a blur.
Yeah. Well, the basic plot is that a giant monster, or I guess they call it like a mix between like modern lizard and dinosaur, has awakened on the bottom of the sea.
Yeah.
Because of people blowing up nuclear bombs.
Well, American
in the area.
Nuclear weapon testing.
Yeah, exactly. And it's now going on a rampage through Japan. First attacks the island of Oto, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Oto? I don't remember.
No, something
and
like
then it heads for like a smaller city, and eventually it hits Tokyo.
Yeah.
And the movie is basically about how they're going to figure out... It's about the scientists trying to figure out how to deal with Godzilla.
Yeah.
Either some people just want to kill it for obvious reasons, but some of them might just want to study it.
Yeah, and the social kind of dispute if what's right and what's not. I mean, it is a prehistoric animal...
Yeah.
That has surfaced and given us a new chance to discover things, but also it is literally destroying cities and killing people.
Yes, and even if it's not like directly destroying cities, wherever it goes, like all over the ocean, the fish are dying.
Yeah.
And wherever it steps, it like releases nuclear energy and it radiates the environment.
Yeah, and destroys things just by being near it.
Yes. So it's a big problem. And yeah, then there's a love triangle between two of the scientists and a lady.
Well, one of them isn't really a scientist, is he? He's more like an army man.
I guess he's involved in the anti-Godzilla bureau.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe he's not a scientist. I don't really know what he does.
I think he's in the army. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he's involved anyway.
Yeah.
And then there is Dr. Serizawa, the one guy they brought over to the new movies, or at least the name, the guy with the eye patch.
Yeah.
Who is working on something that might help against Godzilla, but it's so terrifying that he doesn't even want to talk about it.
Yes.
But he does show the girl, because they're like childhood friends. But she's in love with this other guy, even though she's kind of betrothed to Serizawa.
Yeah, I think so.
Mainly because, you've known each other so long, you should probably get married. And it's like, oh, okay, but she likes that guy.
It seems like her dad's like set on her marrying the doctor.
Yeah. And that's basically what happens in the movie. And then, the big spectacle is, of course, whenever Godzilla shows up and tears through the cities.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what did you think of it?
Well, apart from it being kind of hard to keep up with, it's still fascinating considering when and how it's made.
Yeah.
The story in and of itself is a bit so-so. Like, the main plot is obviously pretty interesting.
Much to it, yeah.
I mean, the whole nuclear power thing is kind of interesting, but other than that...
But the actual story, it's just...
Yeah.
Oh, monster's coming, what should we do? That's about it.
That's about it. So as a story-wise, it's meh, but it's really fascinating to look at it and see and try to figure out, like, how did they do some of that stuff? Because, like, when they have cities on fire, it's like, did they, like, do miniatures? Or is it some sort of old age CGI or whatever? No, there's no CGI. But it is actually, it's like a modern, like, blockbuster in that way, that a good modern blockbuster, in that it combines a bunch of different effects styles. They have miniatures, lots of miniatures, because you do see, when you see the full-size Godzilla, when you see all of it, it's a guy in a rubber suit. Yeah.
That's why it looks a little wonky. But then sometimes, like the first time when you see him just sticking his head up over the ridge on the island, I'm pretty sure that's a hand puppet, because the face looks different and it's a little wonky. But it looks more. I think that hand puppet looks more menacing. And then there's even some stop motion later in the movie when he's going through Tokyo. The two fire trucks that crash. You actually see them. First, you see a miniature that they just ram into a building, and you see little dolls, like firefighter dolls on the side, and you're like, oh, okay. But then the second one, when it flips over, it's actually a stop motion truck, or a truck in stop motion, like flipping over.
Yeah, but apparently they didn't do a lot of stop motion. That's about it.
No, that's about it. Yeah, that's about it. Yeah,
because they realized it would have taken way too long to do it all in stop motion.
Yes. And then of course you have some like optical effects when Godzilla uses the atomic breath and stuff starts like glowing. Mm-hmm. It's just I think I'm not sure. I'm guessing they rotoscoped it.
Probably.
Yeah, and some like mild I also forget special effects, like with his atomic breath and all that.
Yeah.
But it's all basically 90% of it is in camera, which is always nice. And I mean, it's the only way to do it back then, but it's always nice to see that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was looking through the trivia just to like see if they specified some of the filming, and like the scenes where they're underwater. It's like, shit, did they have technology that could work underwater back then? Apparently.
Yeah.
Few shots of it actually is like done underwater, but most of them are done with the like an aquarium in between the scene and the camera.
And they're on wires.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I can't remember where I found it, but somewhere on the trivia page on IMDb, they mentioned that the guy who made the movie, what was his name again?
Honda something.
Yeah, something.
Ishido?
Ishiro Honda, yeah.
Ishiro Honda.
He had done one movie before this that actually was shot a lot underwater, so he did have some knowledge of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of it was done with like an aquarium to have live fish and all that stuff.
Yeah,
specifically
cool.
with the suit, because you can't really put the suit in water.
No.
It was made from like concrete and stuff. The guy would have died.
Okay, get him out. We can't.
It's too heavy. So that was that part of that aspect of a movie this old is actually quite interesting.
Yeah.
And just looking at it, like, you couldn't really tell sometimes. Sure, it's old, so you can tell that it's not CG, but
you can tell that it's obviously fake.
Considering how old it is, and it looks really good for its age, so to speak.
Yeah, I was wondering that what you were going to say about the effects, but I guess you know it, you know enough to at least, like, I get it.
Yeah,
it's an old movie, but yeah, I still think the effects work.
Yeah, sure. I thought they would be worse.
Oh, okay.
Like, I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah. And then I gotta say, because we talked a little bit about the style of the new ones.
Yeah.
And how they're kind of ugly. Or at least the first Godzilla one is.
Mm-hmm.
But then I at least appreciated the style in King of the Monsters a little bit. But I gotta say, there are some scenes in this one that just... they're more striking visually than the new ones. I'm thinking specifically of there's one scene. I think it's when he's just before Tokyo. I think there's a city before Tokyo he's going through.
Yeah.
And you see like miniature houses, and then it looks like the horizon is on fire, which is supposed to be the city's on fire. And you see him over on the like right side of the screen. And there's just a silhouette of his head, and you hear his roar, and the city's just on fire.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's so good looking.
Yeah.
And a lot of the stuff when Godzilla is in the movie, it's very, very dark. It's black and white. He becomes almost like this shadow figure. You barely see him.
Yeah, but that's what we mentioned in the free episode. That was something that kind of got lost in the MonsterVerse. The whole mysterious monster aspect of it, of him actually disappearing, and you can't see the full you do see the full monster, but like it adds a shroud of mystery to it all, making him even more terrifying. There's
that scene when he's walking towards Tokyo, and the planes come in and start shooting missiles at him, and it's just him walking in slow motion while the missiles go past him and they all miss. And he just looks like a big like shadow monster. It's so cool. Yes. And I like the first time you see him when he sticks his head up over the ridge there on Alto Island. Even if the puppet is a little wonky, it's just like just this giant head, and everyone's like, oh, their reactions are so good.
Yeah, the acting is also really good, actually.
I think most of the actors are really good.
Again, kind of surprisingly, because I feel like a lot of old time movies, they have especially very exaggerated acting, but this one felt good. No, it wasn't too bad compared to some other movies you've seen.
I usually complain when they're acting in a language I don't understand. I usually say that there's like a language barrier between me and the actors, and I can't really tell if they're actually like, oh, I'm sad now or I'm happy now. With Japanese acting, it's like the opposite, because they often overdo it in most movies. But since this one is older, they're underplaying it, so it works better in reverse. Almost. Yeah, it works better. Yeah. So yeah, I appreciated the acting, but what I appreciate the most in this movie is the underlying like theme of not anti-war but anti-nuclear message, which I really, because we talked a little bit about that, but I forced myself to not talk too much about it in the last episode because I wanted to save it for this one. Just the fact that they're making a movie about a radioactive, threat, a monster, bomb, whatever, that is destroying cities in Japan, and I think it's like eight 8 or 9 years after Hiroshima and Nagasaki were bombed.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, the only time nuclear weapons have been used in actual warfare.
Yeah, and they actually say it, right? They say it straightforward, like the American nuclear testing.
Yeah. And after he's attacked Tokyo, you have the scenes from like the emergency rooms where people are just sitting. There's so many people that can't even fit in the hospital rooms anymore. So they're just sitting in the staircases, and children crying over their dead mothers, people with like radiation burns on their face. I always imagine watching that if I was in Japan in 1954 and like, it must have like...
It would have been almost too close to home, yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's a bold move to make a movie that is supposed to be entertaining, but also like showing the pretty like grim reality of what happened just less than a decade ago.
Yeah.
And then of course having a very like strong message against using nuclear power or just powers that are beyond our control, really. Which nuclear power is.
Definitely.
I mean, I'm not against like using like nuclear power the way we use it today, but it's still like
pure energy. You mean?
Yeah, with nuclear power plants and stuff. I'm not against it. It is unfortunately like the cleanest way to produce energy in en masse, unless you have like wind farms, but they take up so much space.
Yeah,
I mean that's a different
that's
discussion.
a whole nother different.
But it is there's always that little like those few percent where we're not really in control.
No,
which we've seen with Chernobyl, and we've seen it with 3 Mile Island, and we've seen it with what's someone called in Japan when the tsunami came in and they had a meltdown, like 2 meltdowns.
Yeah, I don't remember, but I know.
I don't remember what the power plant was called, but it's and there's the thing I like recently heard about that before they built the bomb, when they were testing out how to create a nuclear bomb. They had something called the Demon Core, which was basically the core of a nuclear bomb.
Yeah,
the radiation core. And they didn't know like what radiation was. They didn't know the full force of radiation back then. So there's this I don't remember the name. But there's this guy who wanted to test, like, they had 2 halves of uranium, and if they were like if they two half spheres, if they were put together, it was literally like, not blowing up, but it was the same like the same radiation force, basically.
Yeah, like energy outburst almost.
Yeah, but without an explosion. And they would literally take those 2 spheres, put them next to each other and up on top of each other, but with 2 screwdrivers in between.
Okay.
Yeah, just to test, like, they wanted to have as little of space between them, just to see how much energy they could create. And literally just turning the screwdrivers just to create more or less space between the 2 half spheres.
My God.
Yeah. And then, of course, one day, one of them drops their screwdriver, and the other one flinches, drops the other one.
Poof.
And, they went together, and there's no explosion.
Oh.
But this, what looks like a shiny metal ball, basically, starts like glowing furiously blue.
Oh my God.
It's pure atomic energy just filling the entire room.
Those people must have died.
Yeah, he reaches in. I want to remember the guy's name. I'm going to look it up. But he basically reaches in, grabs one of the halves and throws it away, because then it's more or less like safe.
Yeah, it diffuses.
But for those like 2 seconds, that room was so full of radiation energy that he died like less than a few months later. Like an agonizing, his body basically deteriorating.
Yeah, from radiation burns, like inside and out, basically, probably.
Yeah, and he forced everyone who's in the room just stand still. I want to, so he could and mark where you were standing, so he could figure out how much radiation everyone got. I think everyone but like 2 people in that room died within a year.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me.
They made a movie called Fat Man and Little Boy based on the 2 bombs, where they recreate that scene with John Cusack.
Okay.
It's really good. Anyway, it's I don't even know where I was going with that.
Yeah, but it's like fascinating
that they with powers that we don't really can control.
Not that they dare to do that kind of commentary, I guess. Yeah, in this movie.
Yeah, exactly. Like they really show you the horrors of nuclear fallout.
Yeah, because they do show people being affected and cities being affected by nuclear power, not just the physical monster in this case.
Yeah, and then also that the fact that Godzilla both represents the bomb basically because he is this destructive nuclear force, but he's also like an outcome of what happens when we mess with Mother Nature, basically. Yeah. Because they say he's awakened by the test bombings.
Yeah. And I love that they in the end mention like, how do we know that he's the last one? Like, if we don't stop doing what we're doing, maybe we will awaken another one, a second Godzilla.
Exactly. Luckily, we've never used nuclear bombs after that, so.
Well,
not yet.
Exactly. We have a lot of other bombs laying around. Maybe that'll be enough.
You know, there's been like several times where, they almost on accident launched nuclear missiles.
Yeah.
And in America, they like accidentally dropped one from a plane. They were transporting it from one place to another, and they just they dropped it and it landed without exploding. Yeah, I know it's scary to think about.
Yeah, I mean just knowing that a bunch of superpowers around the world actually have it. It's right there at just a button away, and they'll launch all of it.
Yeah. Here, Louis Slotin was his name, I think.
Okay.
Like a year before him, a similar accident happened to a guy called Harry Daghlian. Because they just didn't know how much radiation they were getting by working with this stuff. There's like a quote he said when he had thrown the thing away, told everyone to stop, and he was like, "Well, that's it, boys."
Well, yeah.
Basically what he said, because he knows. Yeah, I'm probably gonna die now.
Yeah.
It's so creepy. Yeah, and that's after that plutonium core got the name the Demon Core.
Because yeah. Well.
Then also I wanna kind of compare then the different versions of Godzilla. And why I think this one works better than the new one, because there is a not an anti-nuclear message in the new ones, but there is an environmental message in the new ones.
Yeah, definitely. They mention
talk about
Mother Earth and all that
oil
stuff.
drilling and stuff. Yeah. But I don't think it works as well in that one. Partly because we don't really see any sort of environmental effects on the planet in the movies.
No.
It just looks like our planet. And we know our planet has global warming and the melting of the polar ice caps and that. But I mean, that's such a I'm not a denialist or whatever they're called, denier. No, I firmly believe in that, but it's not such a immediate threat. Like an atom bomb being dropped on a city.
It's not as visually immediate. That's the thing. You can't see it with your eye every single day, right then and there. It's not like a fire or an explosion.
No, like if Godzilla in the new ones is supposed to be the rebalancing of nature, it should be him walking from one place to another, and it takes him 100 years. And not much happens, but when he gets there, everything's fine.
Yeah, sort of.
Because he's such a giant destructive force, it needs to be a metaphor of something like a bomb instead.
Yeah, a more immediate, right away action kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the mentioning of like him restoring balance, it doesn't really work because they do say it's only because of what we're doing to the Earth.
Yeah.
And in that case, like the only balance Godzilla can like get is by killing all humans, more or less.
Yeah, and it's also the fact that restoring the balance is defeating another monster, when restoring the balance should be we're the monster. We've put the world out of balance.
Yeah, we mentioned that. Like they add the other. I think it's Mothra in that one, right?
Well, no.